Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. This is Life Transformation Radio, and I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 90 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing, highlighting that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also join our Facebook group at Life Transformation Radio Community and never miss an episode by subscribing to Life Transformation Radio wherever you listen to podcasts. You can go to www.blogtalkradio.com/Life Transformation Radio. Subscribe and listen to us live, or you can go and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, Himalaya app, Google Podcasts, Pandora, and we are available on YouTube at Life Transformation Radio. So click that subscribe button wherever you're listening from and make sure to leave us a rating and a review. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing human beings having an impact in the world around them. And my guest today on a global scale. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, go ahead and give us a call at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show my amazing guest for today, Susan Slotnick. Susan, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to have you on the show. We're going to dive into some topics today that I'm really interested in, but then you've given them a different twist. And I love that. I love seeing something that I know something about and then seeing the different ways that it's executed out in the world. And you've done a fantastic job of execution. You've done a fantastic job of taking action. And I'm really excited for people to hear your story today. So if you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay.
So the title of this episode is Flight, The Dance of Freedom, with author Susan Slotnick. For the past 25 years, Susan has gone behind the walls at correctional facilities every week to bring the joy of modern dance to incarcerated men and boys. Her choreography dealt with serious themes geared to inspire audiences and students towards social justice activism. Susan was born to a mother with a borderline personality and a distant autistic father. Not the best nurturing environment for a gifted child. So she rebelled, flunked out of school, and befriended those her mother would have considered undesirables. She basically lived a life completely at odds to the one that would have ordinarily been expected. Early experiences showed Susan how difficult life was for so many, and it instilled in her a passionate zeal to help the marginalized, the forgotten, and the disenfranchised. Her life work and dance company, named Figures in Flight, has garnered much critical and professional acclaim. Numerous feature articles about her have appeared in dance magazines. She received the Dance Studio Magazine's Caring Heart Award, celebrated for Women's History Month as Huffington Post's Greatest Woman of the Day, and featured in 2 radio documentaries and featured in the documentary The Game Changer that won Best Documentary Short at both the Harlem and the Cannes Film Festival. Susan is also the author of the book Flight, The Dance of Freedom. If that sounds amazing, please go to her website that is in the show notes. It is at Susan Slotnick, Slotnick, SusanSlotnick.com. Go check her out. Check out what she has. Go get her book and send her a friend request on your favorite social media platform, letting her know that you listened to this episode of Life Transformation Radio. Susan, the first question that I have to ask after reading that amazing bio and all of the great work that you've done around the world, why? Why do it all? Why do you do what you do?
When I was a child, I grew up in Scarsdale, New York, as a wealthy white girl. And I noticed from a very young age the racism that was going on in my junior high school up here in New York. We also had a live-in maid, for lack of a better word, who was the sanest person in my family. And I saw her treated varying from extremes, from sometimes she was treated like a maid, sometimes my mother would get a little drunk and she would treat her like a best friend. And it was on and off. And the mistreatment of this woman, plus what I saw in school, and also the fact that when I was flunking out of school, I read every book in the White Plains Library about what happened to the Jews during the Holocaust. Plus, I was obsessed with the movie A Christmas Carol, which I watched every year at Christmas week. Every single time it came on, $1 Million movie.
Love it.
So those influences in my life started me at a very young age wanting to help black people. There are a lot of black people in prison. But the pivotal reason why I go into prisons with dance is because when I was 18, I lost my virginity in a rape. And being a victim of crime and also having experienced the pain that comes with being mistreated, instead of it making me angry at people, it made me want to help people. But the night that happened, I healed my own pain by dancing all night long to the Drifters singing Some Kind of Wonderful. I'm pretty old. And the next morning, I felt fine. So that started me thinking, where do people need healing that dance can give? Where do people need to feel free that aren't free? At that time, it wasn't known that dancing slow, controlled movement to beautiful music actually changes your brain chemistry. So in retrospect, I understand why that night of dancing allowed me to overcome a very sad event. The brain chemicals that are secreted from dancing are the same ones that are used when people take antidepressants. So dancing really does heal people from pain. And most of the men and the boys that are in prison, they often are victims not only of sexual abuse, which a great number were, but they're victims of something. They're perpetrators and victims. So instead of my paying attention to their misdeeds, I paid attention to the pain that brought them there. I tried to get into a prison my whole career. I was laughed at. One man in prison who was an administrator called me a jackass when I called up and asked if I could teach modern dance. And I knew it would work. I knew it would work. And sure enough, due to a forward-thinking prison administrator in a juvenile facility here in Ulster County, New York, I taught in the boys' prison for 5 years until the administration changed. And the new administrator said he thought it was gay, and he eliminated the program. And I never thought I would be able to work with prisoners again. So if you want to hear how that happened with adults, I'm ready to tell it.
Well, I'm really curious about why you chose the demographic you did. You know, I mean, boys and men, but why not? I think girls probably would have taken to it a lot faster than boys. That's just kind of what I was thinking.
Not the kind of dancing that I taught.
Okay.
I was known outside of prison for having one of the few dance schools with kids from the ages of 5 to 18 where I had more boys in my school than girls. Wow. And other dance teachers would say, we're giving free tuition to boys, and you have a dance school with more boys and girls. What do you do that makes boys so attracted to dance? And it's basically that I teach the same technique that the Alvin Ailey Company was founded on, the Lester Horton technique. And it's very strong and it's very ballistic. But I want to say that men are very good at expressing emotion through movement. You see this a lot in sports. Women are extremely good at articulating emotion with talk. So when men taste really the chance to show deep, powerful emotion through movement, they take to it. Now, I never knew why I had more boys in my school than girls until we went and we performed at a college. And it was, I think at that time, my dance company had 11 boys and 5 girls, my professional youth company. And one of the audience members asked, why are there so many boys? And this boy, whose name was Rudy, said, well, I'm not sure, except that she's like one of the guys who's also our mother. So that was his explanation for why it appealed to boys. Hello? Hello? I'd be hanging up and calling back.
Hey, everybody. We are here with Susan Slotnick talking about the dance of freedom. If you want to check out what she's doing and learn more about her, go to Susan Slotnick, SLOTNICK, SusanSlotnick.com. Go check out what she's doing. She has the book Flight, the Dance of Freedom, where she talks about going behind the walls at the correctional facilities. And I'm super fascinated by all of that and how she got into doing that stuff. Susan, I was asking you about the demographics, and you said that the school that you had, boys took to it a lot faster or a lot more than the girls. And I find that fascinating because every 8th grade dance that I ever went to, or a middle school or high school dance I ever went to, a lot of the guys are against the wall and all the girls are dancing.
Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, because you went completely out of range while I was talking.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
So was I able to finish what I was saying?
Yeah, you were saying that the dance studio that you had.
Did I get to the story about Rudy? Why Rudy said that more boys came to my school? I did not hear that. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said that. Yeah, more boys were at your school, and I'm like, that's super.
No,
interesting.
did I tell you? But I talked a lot about how that happened, and I mentioned this boy named Rudy, and that I had a dance company with 11 boys and 4 girls. Did you hear any of that?
I did not. Please tell me.
Okay. So I don't know where we actually are. What was the last thing you heard?
Yeah. So you said that there was more boys than girls at your school, and then that's all I heard.
And then we cut up. Okay, so I used to get calls from dance instructors that said they gave boys scholarships, and they tried to get younger brothers and everybody to come to their school. They couldn't get anybody. But for some reason, and I think it had to do with the powerful ballistic movement, but mostly it had to do with the fact that men in particular are very good at expressing emotion, deep emotion through movement, where women are very good at expressing emotion, articulating it through talk. So once the boys came, and I got a lot of them in residencies in schools, so I was working with whole grade levels, so half of the people I was working with were boys. And they experienced something in those school residencies, and then they joined my school. And we were performing at a college, and one of the people, the dance instructors at this college, asked why there were so many boys in my professional youth company. And this boy named Rudy said, I don't know exactly, but she's like one of the boys who's also our mother. And that was his explanation. So that's the best explanation I can give because, frankly, it was sort of a mystery to me. But I'd go in and work with a whole 5th grade level, and the boys always did better were more excited about it. Actually, some of their responses are in my book, and some of the letters that parents wrote me. One parent wrote me and said, "This is the most important experience my son has ever had in school." They just took to it. And then they didn't want to stop after the residency, so they joined my school.
That's super cool. That's super cool. Wow. And then you took that to prisons. And you started doing it in prisons.
Did you hear when I said that I called prisons and they called me a jackass?
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
That was funny.
So I went to the boys' prison because they had a forward-thinking administration. And then did you hear when I said they kicked my program out because the new administrator thought it was gay?
Yeah. Yeah, you said you had done it for 5 years. You said
and then they
for
stopped
5
it.
years,
He said boys shouldn't be doing that.
They dropped it.
Yep.
Because the guy said it was gay. This made me laugh. Oh, geez.
I started to call men's prisons. And I called this one facility. And no, that's not what happened. I'm sorry. I was on a bus, and a nun sat down next to me. Turned out I knew her from what I call in my book my Catholic period. I'm Jewish. But I worked with the Catholic Church doing Women's Day of Prayer dance events. And I had met this nun, and she was sitting behind me originally, but the person sitting next to her obviously didn't want to sit with her because he was practically leaning out the window. So I started to tell her about the boys' prison, and we had this whole ride to New York City. And I said how sad I was that I wasn't allowed into a men's prison. I knew it would work in a men's prison because the men are the same as the boys but older, same demographic, same hearts, same wish for themselves. So she said to me, there is a woman named Catherine Vokins that has a organization called Rehabilitation Through the Arts. Get in touch with her, and maybe she will sponsor you to do dance in the prison. They did theater. Well, she came to my house, and I showed her the boys dancing, and she said, no, this is never going to happen in a men's prison. I've actually done this not only in a men's prison, but in a men's maximum security prison at one point. And I said, just let me in once. She said, I'll ask my board. And then she called me and said, no, I don't think you should come. They don't think it's going to work. Well, the same day that she came to my house, I got a letter about her from an old friend of mine in the mail telling me to get in touch with her. And I said, look, this is meant to be. This was arranged in heaven. I just got a letter about you out of all the people in the world. She said, okay, we'll try it once. And 12 years later, we had mounted full evening concerts with men who were willing to dance in front of the general population. Full evening concerts, 5, 10 pieces, hour-and-a-half shows, happened at least 6 times. For men.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It really sounds amazing, but actually it was easy. From the day I walked in, from the first moment they lifted their arms to music, they were totally into it. I've kept in touch with hundreds of them. And when they got out of prison, some after 30 years, instead of going home to their families, they came to my house for breakfast on the morning they got out. And I would say to them, why are you coming to me? You have parents, you have wives, you have children. We want to be born into the world from someone who knows the man we are now, because our families are so happy they think they're getting the boy back who left.
Wow.
Yep, 12 of them came here for breakfast. It was quite a breakfast.
Wow.
I can tell you. I went all out.
I like it. I like your never give up attitude. I like it. And the fact that you're changing, you never know what's going to change someone's life. You never know what you're going to do, what you're going to say, what action transforms somebody in a moment. So I want to ask you a 2-part question. Now that I think about it, a 2-part question. One, what is your transformational moment for your life? Because I feel like we go through a lot of these transformational moments.
You sure do.
Something happens to us, and we just grow, right? And if you're not growing, you're dying. So the first part, I want to know, what was a transformational moment for you that put you on the path towards dancing, put you on the path towards getting them into prisons and whatever? And then what I'd love to know, and I think the listeners would love to know, is how has dance in prisons and in the different ways that you've done it, different places you've done it. How has dance specifically changed to you? So I'd love to know your transformational moment.
There are so many. I don't know which one to pick, so I'm going to pick one that's in my book. I flunked out of high school. At the end of my sophomore year of high school, I had 5 Fs, including in art. By the way, my college degree is in oil painting. So for me to flunk art, in addition to everything else, showed the kind of condition that I was in. And I never went to summer school. So when it came time to graduate high school, all of the people I had gone to school with graduated, and I did not. My mother, who was a very difficult person in my life, wanted me to graduate high school, so I went to night high school in New York. I got what was called a high school equivalency diploma in those days. There was no GED. And she sent me to a college that took anyone with a pulse at one point, Bogan City Junior College in Chicago, because I had a cousin who was a professor there. Anyway, when I went to another college, Morris Harvey College in Charleston, West Virginia, another college, it took just anybody, I got sick there. That was one of the places that I was sexually abused. I'll just very briefly tell you that I got mononucleosis, went to the emergency room in Charleston, West Virginia, and had a long, protracted internal exam in full view of everybody with nothing indicating that it was necessary. That was one of the worst sexual abuse experiences I've had. But nevertheless, I got over that too because you have to. And my mother wanted me to apply to New Paltz College. She said, it's a nice, quiet teacher's college. I scheduled a interview. I came to New Paltz. I dressed for failure. I was a hippie by that time. I was wearing combat boots and a tie-dye shirt, and I was very irreverent. And the first question he said to me was, why do you want to come to New Paltz? And I said, I don't want to come here. My mother's forcing me. And he laughed. We talked for 2 hours. He brought a bottle of wine out of his desk, and he toasted me, and he said, you haven't really succeeded in your life, but you have so much going for you. Educate yourself at some point, but it's not going to happen here. Anyway, 2 weeks later, I get the letter from the college. I throw it in the garbage unopened because he told me there's no way I could be accepted. And my mother fished it out of the garbage, and I hear her screaming from downstairs, you've been accepted. You're going to be a teacher. You're going to college. He pulled strings. Wow. This always makes me a little weepy, and I tell this story often, and it always makes me weepy. I got to New Paltz with my new wardrobe, and I majored in art, in painting, and all of my art supplies, and the first thing I wanted to do is go find that man and thank him for changing my life, and he was gone. And they would not tell me anything about him, his name, where he went, but often when I'd be in the prison, or even with my other dancers, or the artist in residency programs in the schools, and I would see transformational moments in other people, I would always silently thank that man wherever he was, because he truly changed the course of my life. And transformational moments, if you look at them, they often happen not from within, but from without, where somebody saw something in you, somebody loved you, somebody took an interest in you. So knowing that that's how my life transformed, I knew that with the skills that I had for teaching and the skills that I had for choreography, that I could give those men tools where they would transform their own lives. Because eventually the transformation was done by me. He gave me the possibility, but I had to go to the school. I had to learn how to study. I was the one who had to change my life, but he gave me the tool to do that. And that's how I feel about what I've done in the prison. I haven't changed anybody's lives. They changed their own lives. If you give people the skills to build a house, for example, and you give them great skills, and you're able to teach how to use the skills, and you have a lot of charisma, and the men used to tell me in the prison, it's a good thing you're a good person because you can manipulate anybody into anything, but you can encourage people through whatever tactics for the good. If the house gets built, who built it? You didn't build it. They built it.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, we don't change anybody's life. People change their own life. But we have the ability to use our influences, our skills, our tools to give them to other people. But the men would tell me, this is the best thing that ever happened to me in prison. This is changing my life. Right. And they'd give me credit for it like I was some kind of guru. And I'd say, I can't take credit for it. And they'd say, what do you mean? I'd say, well, if it was up to me, there wouldn't be 20 people out of the 800 in this room dancing. There'd be 800 people. By the time a man is willing to dance in front of a general population in a prison, they are rehabilitated 95%. You just take them over their last threshold.
Huh. I don't. I mean, I think that you give them tools to change their life and transform their life, and then they make a conscious decision whether they want to do it or not.
Exactly.
But without you, they can't do the transformation.
No, they can't.
Because you're supposed
Just
to
like
come in at
without
that moment.
that man, I would have never gotten into college. But I'm the one who graduated from college. I'm the one who learned how to study. So when I hear prison volunteers or prison programs or people who are doing good in the world taking credit for it, I always silently disagree with that. Because we can just set things before people, and then they are the ones that have to use them. So I go back to that transformational moment with that man. He gave me an opportunity, but it's me that took it and ran with it. But had it not been for him, I wouldn't be on the phone with you right now.
Yeah.
Wherever he is, and whoever he is.
I see what you're saying. I was like, well, I mean, we do change lives. I mean, we give people, maybe we give them the hope or the encouragement or the energy to change their life, but ultimately it becomes their decision. You can't change their life for them, but you can change their life with them. Ooh, I like that.
I probably don't agree with you because of my life experience. Although you sound wonderful, and I really appreciate the opportunity. But I have seen men get out and not do so well. I haven't seen many go back, not from my program, because like I said, they were already rehabilitated in order to volunteer to dance in prison. But I've seen them forget their great wish for themselves. Then I've seen men who had what I taught them so permanent in them, so crystallized in them, that they went back into prison as teachers and mentors. Now, what accounts for the difference? It's the same teacher, it's the same tools. So my feeling is that you don't change anybody's life. Some people will have whatever the influences are, the will, the desire, the spirituality, the genetics, the age, the wish for themselves to continue to practice what you taught them. And some people it will influence them, but it will not have the impact that it has in other people. So why would the dance program have more impact for one person than the other? Because of who they were, not who I was. If it was up to me, the impact would have been the same for everybody.
Right.
So I hope you don't mind.
Super interesting. No, it's super interesting. I like it. Super interesting. I try to understand and contextualize, the point that the guest or the interviewee or whatever person I'm talking to is making. And I think that I have a certain way of thinking about things, and then I'm always fascinated by, well, why do you think this way, or what do you think about this one thing, or whatever. And I think that you narrated that so well. It's not going to cut me thinking. I'm like, I wonder how that applies.
Well, that's good.
To me.
So you see, I've given you a new tool. I've given you a new tool, and you could forget about it the second we get off the air. Or this new tool can inform the way you interview people or the way you think about your own life. That's what I mean. It's something that was said to you, and whatever impact it has is entirely up to you.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. Well, I want to know about your transformation when it comes to the dance. So you had more boys than girls. You're in the prisons, and you have your school. So we talked about your transformational moment that put you on the path to what you're doing today. But now I'm even more curious now. How has it transformed you as far as either a dance instructor, dance coach, or going into the prisons? Like, as a human, how personally has these moments, this collection of moments, how have they transformed you? In what ways?
Well, it's very interesting, the question that you're asking, because nobody who wants to make money or become famous or get accolades or magazine articles does their artwork in a prison. So the amount of response that I've gotten, the amount of movies and the documentaries and the articles and awards have changed me. And the way they've changed me is very surprising. I live all day with myself. I live with my own inadequacies, my own strengths, and the whole thing has made me more humble, which is a little surprising when you have a lot of positive reinforcement in the world. It's made me very humble. I feel blessed to have done my work so privately in a place that is so dark and unknown to the general public, and have been appreciated to that degree, has made me humble. I can't explain it any more than that. I've met amazing people. I've learned from them. I've seen myself. I've been able to observe myself in ways that I don't think I would have if I hadn't done the work that I've done. I've seen what's positive about me. I've seen what still needs work about me. And it's been a humbling experience to have been able to do something that seems to have mattered and seems to have garnered some positive response. You know, I tell people I didn't write one email or make one phone call to promote myself, and look at the response that it got from working in a place that's usually completely unknown. Now, that's a humbling experience.
It is, yeah. And it says something about you and your work ethic and the problem that you're solving and the passion, the why, the essence of what you're doing carries forth. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you shared that. So let's talk about how you elevate the world around you. And I don't know if you want to go into like the specific type of dance, or you said you kept in contact with some people. Maybe you kept in contact like, hey, what are you up to now? Let's reconnect. Just how do you, when you wake up in the morning, how do you elevate the world around you?
Well, I'm 75 years old, and I can't work in the prison system, the state system in New York, because I published the book. I wanted the book to elevate the world around me. I wanted the book to share with people the fact that when you have a rough time, as you and I talked about a little before the show, that you also experienced, that you can do great things even when the rest of the world had no faith in you. So that's a big piece of the book. And then the way I want to elevate the world now is to have people read the stories of the men in prison. And I wrote their stories with their permission. And you will find that they are nothing like what you would expect from watching television. So that's part of it. But the biggest thing on a daily basis is, since COVID, I'm here with my husband, Sam, who I've been married to for 52 years. And my influence on the world is my influence on my own behavior. How patient am I with him? How much am I able to put my own agenda aside? What is still in me and in my personality that needs fine-tuning? When I even just go to the post office and wait online, I observe how impatient am I? How patient am I? How much do I see the world around me? How much money am I giving to charity? When I go on Facebook and I see an organization like one that I just decided to start supporting yesterday, the International Rescue Committee. And I look at, see, are you giving as much as you can afford, or are you being a little stingy? To me, what matters the most in terms of human development is dealing with ourselves, our habits, our proclivities, our opinions, what we say, the way we listen.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that everyone in life, whether they've done something great or not done something that the world would think was great or that looks great on paper, that the real work of human life is to go through each day with a level of self-observation where you're always trying to be better than you are, even in small ways that the rest of the world might consider to be insignificant. So that's my influence on the world. Very simply, every moment, who am I? What's the level of my behavior? Could I be doing better? And can I forgive myself for not doing better?
Yep. I like it. And I think that there's a growing moment there. There's an assessment there. And a lot of times we rush through these moments. We rush through these good things. We rush through the bad things. But we never take stock. And I'm a big advocate of gratitude. I'm a big advocate in the fact that what you're exactly saying, I want to know who contributed to this moment. I want to know what my takeaway from this moment is going to be and what brought this moment into fruition. And when I can do that, and then I say, what's great about this? I have a habit when I'm talking to people, and they'll say, hey, how do I start a podcast? Or, hey, man, what do you think about this? Or whatever. It's like, hey, you know what's great about this? And I'm always searching through the positives. And then I hear other people say that too. You know what's great about this? And I was like, ooh, tell me, please, what's great about this, right? So I think that, when we're elevating the world around us, and this is why I asked the question, when we elevate the world around us, we can't help but bring other people with us inside the world around us. And we can
do it in very small ways. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to start a prison dance program. The way you move through all the ordinary moments are the extraordinary ways you elevate the world around you.
Got it. That was deep. I'm just trying to take it.
Well, that's what I've been accused of over and over again.
I'm just rarely am I speechless on something that I hear, and I'm like, ooh, that's good. I got to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge it. I want to receive that energy from it, but also give that energy back. And I'm just I love how your mind works and looks at your forethought. I love it.
Well,
I really love
it.
Very
much.
I think it was really deep. I think it was really deep. I was trying to come up with something clever. I'm like...
You don't need to be clever. You just need to be you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're doing what you're doing. You're trying to bring great people on who have something to say, to influence the world around you. You've been through your rough history. You could be sitting someplace right now with a glass of wine in your hand wondering what the hell your life is about. So you don't need to say anything clever. You've already done something clever.
Oh, well, I really, really, really appreciate that. I really do. So with that said, I want to give the listener something. I want to give them a message or give them an offer or tell them something. So let's talk about your book, Flight, The Dance of Freedom. Tell us about the book, who you wrote it for.
Well, it's self-published. I did have a publisher, and the publisher made me change a bunch of things. It was on a short list to be published, and then they made me change these things, and they said, this doesn't mean we're going to pick it, but you have to change this to maybe have better standing. So I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm putting everything that I wanted to be in there originally back in the book, and I'm self-publishing. And as I said, I think the book I'm 75, so I think the book will inspire people to go into prisons and take their skills, their tools, and volunteer in prisons. Because if you don't have prison programming, if you take away education, you take away programming, all we do is put people in cages like animals. So I'm hoping the book will do that. And for people who are asking themselves, young people, younger than me, that are saying, I want to do something to help the world, what should I do? Well, my feeling is maybe if you read my book, you'll get inspired. You'll ask yourself, what can I do and where can I do it? So that's the piece with the book. On the website, believe it or not, you can see the men dancing in prison, and it's mind-boggling. You have to go to the icon that says prison program, and you will see men doing an Alvin Ailey style dance that I choreographed for them, and a hip-hop piece, and talking a little bit. The title of it is called Finally Free. Finally free. They're still in prison, but they're dancing, so they felt they were finally free. And that's something that would motivate artists. We need to help these people. There's such incredible people in our prisons, brilliant people. Do you know that in New York State, the debate team from, I think it was Eastern Correctional Maximum Security, debated the Harvard debate team, and the Eastern Correctional inmates won the debate.
Wow.
Nobody has a clue what the people in prison can be like. We see these stupid shows on TV where they take a show about, how horrible prisons are, worst prison in the world, and they film every bad thing that happened over a year, and they make it seem like it happened in a week. People have no idea what prison is like a monastery. There are men in there who do nothing but read, think about their crimes, try and change their lives, pray. Now, some of them continue it when they get out, and some of them don't. Like I said, something crystallizes in some, and something is temporary in others. But it's an opportunity for people to transform their lives by being in prison. And I've had men say to me many times, if I wasn't here, I would be dead on the streets.
Yeah.
So what are we doing to help them? They have a wish to change who they are. They want to come out of there better people. But if we don't give them any tools, we just lock them up and throw some bad food at them.
I'm not going to do anything.
So I would like to inspire people to go inside and to work in there and change the world for these men. They're all victims. They're victims of institutional racism for sure. I'm still on the phone live.
I like it.
Hold on a second. My husband's going to say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. Hey.
That's my husband. Oh, and he's a lot responsible for what I've done. You can be sure of that. How many men would allow their wives or want their wives to be in prison for so many years?
Can you imagine that? Oh,
he's never limited me in any way, shape, or form my whole married life, 52 years.
I think that's I think that takes a lot of patience. I think that as soon as you say, hey, I'm going to go do this, they're like, what? That's dangerous. No, you're a girl. No, don't do that. No.
No,
I think that's what
never done that.
Happens.
He has said to me many times, I married you to support you in who you are.
Wow. Well, he's definitely done a great job of that, and it's an honor to support you here on Life Transformation Radio. So here's what I do. We have about 30 seconds. Give the listeners a message. What do you want them to know and understand?
Walk through the world practicing kindness wherever you can, and be vigilant of the way your own mind and your own way of life doesn't do that. First, see when you're not kind, and then practice kindness.
I love it. Where can everybody get your book?
Well, it's on Amazon. It's self-published on Amazon. It's easy to get. There's reviews on it. You can read something on the inside of it a little bit. They give you a sample. And the reviews are incredible. I mean, they're shocking. I sometimes read them because I don't know who they're talking about. But I wrote the book because I'm 75. I am not going to be alive forever. I'm preparing for that eventuality rather than avoiding it. And I want to leave something of myself and what I've done into the world, and that's the book.
That's amazing. Susan, you are an absolute rock star. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been so good.
Yeah,
so good.
I don't know how you can call me a rock star. I can't even sing. That's the one talent I don't have. You keep on keeping on, too, because what you shared with me before the program started tells me a little bit about the path you were trying to walk from where you came from to where you want to go. And if you ever want to talk, just Just talk. Give me a call.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that.
And good for
you. I appreciate
you.
that. Thank you.
I don't think people do anything great unless they've experienced quite a bit of adversity, to tell you the truth.
I think that's a true and accurate statement. Yes. Yes, very.
So in 15 minutes, you're going to send this link to me, and I can sit down with my wonderful, supportive husband and listen to it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're about to end the episode right now. So, again, I want to say thank you so much to you for coming on my show and sharing your vulnerability and your brilliance with my audience. Thank you so much.
Yeah, brilliant person who flunked out of high school. Go figure. All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. You've been a pleasure.
Thank you. Life Transformation Radio listeners, thank you so much for supporting our show, supporting our guests, and what we do here every single day. So if any part of our conversation with Susan resonated with you, please go to her website, SusanSlotnick.com, SLOTNICK, SusanSlotnick.com. You can go to Amazon and get her book today, Flight, The Dance of Freedom. Go get it. Go check it out. Go buy it. Go buy it for somebody else. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed. As I close the show, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live an amazing life.